Good morning, I'm back up on the roof. I'm doing my final harvest of the carrots. So if you don't know about this story, I've tried unsuccessfully every year to grow carrots, and every year the carrot fly get them and I end up with virtually no crop at all. So after having found out that the carrot fly can't fly higher than 3 foot high, I decided to grow my carrots in buckets on the flat roof extension of our house. And it's worked really well. Apparently carrot fly really can't fly higher than 3 foot. So the foliage and that is all starting to die back on these, so I'm just going to take the lot out. I've already taken all of those out, and I'm very surprised at quite how many carrots you can grow in buckets. Fine, more than enough. I've had 6 buckets. Look at that. I mean, that's a lovely carrot. I've had 6 buckets filled. I grew some purple carrots, more for the novelty value. I probably would grow those again. I don't think the flavour's as good, but they do look nice. And the rest have just been mostly Nance. I think Nance, most of them. I can't quite remember, but they've all grown well. Oh, I think I had some Chantilly as well, because there was some smaller ones there. And it's been great apart from the watering situation. Having to get up on the roof on a ladder, which isn't great. I think it's worth it if I can grow these. Very happy with it. And if you've got anywhere a little bit higher up and you're suffering with carrot fly and you don't like using nets, which I don't, on the roof is a good option in my view. I'll do this again next year. There you go, that's the final harvest. I have probably had about double that amount, I would think, overall out of the 6 buckets since I started growing them. So I would call that a success. Well, I thought I'd give you a little update on how the tomatoes are getting along. If you saw my last update, you'll know that my tomatoes had completely gotten away from me. They'd all collapsed. I hadn't staked them adequately or taken the side shoots out, anything. After that, I did try and get round behind. I did try and stake them up a bit and help them out a little bit, which did work to a certain extent, but as you can see, it's a complete mess. And what I'm doing now is just willing them on to ripen. I have had several big bowls of tomatoes off these already. I'm getting a lot, but it's getting them ripened. That's the tricky bit. So what I'm doing is, as soon as I can see the tiniest bit of blush, I don't know whether you can tell, there's a bit of blush on that, I pick them and take them in the house just to try and encourage all the rest to ripen up. But yeah, I have to come out every day and search through and find anything that looks as if it's threatening to ripen. Some of these plants have got masses of trusses on. This one in particular. But it's refusing to ripen. What I will do, if I'm worried they're going to go to waste, I'll pick them green. I'll try and ripen them. I'll try and ripen them in the house on the windowsill or wherever. If they won't ripen, I did the other day actually. I made a pasta sauce out of the green tomatoes. I just had, I can hardly remember now, I think it was just onion and garlic and green tomatoes. Maybe, I think I roasted them and then blended them up, and actually it made a really nice pasta sauce, perfectly acceptable. Really is pretty much as nice as a red tomato sauce. So if I can't get them to ripen, I think that's probably what I'll do. I'll just make batches of green tomato pasta sauce and put it in the freezer, and then I haven't lost anything. We've been forecast for a full week of rain, so I have taken the snap decision to take off all the tomatoes on the trusses outside, and I brought the whole lot in to ripen. Some amount of tomatoes, eh? I just hope they ripen. If they don't, green tomato chutney, green pasta sauce, etc. But I would rather have them red. Fingers crossed. I'm sure a lot of them are ripen. This is my Victor squash. It started out a nice yellow, smooth skinned, and I'd actually forgotten what this one does. But as it matures, it darkens down, gets water, like a warty knobbly skin, and turns a deep red. So I realised when I started to see it go this deeper orange which one it was. Quite excited to see how that comes out. I'm still picking courgettes. This one's from the garden. I thought I'd show you this. I was watching Bill and Val, was it last week? And they were propagating their geraniums or pelargoniums. And I've had pelargoniums on the go now for several years, maybe four years. And every year I just would overwinter them in the greenhouse and bring them back out and put them into pots or baskets or whatever, and it worked great. But this year I noticed they really weren't doing very well, poor, hardly got any flowers off them. So I thought, time's come, I'm going to take a leaf out of Bill and Val's book. So I've taken cuttings. Hope I've done it right, guys. I think it's all right. I might have left a bit too many leaves on there. Let me take that one off. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Fingers crossed. And there's all. Well, it's a few days later. I popped up to the allotment because I need to crack on. The seasons are changing. 8 degrees this morning, really chilly. I've got my fleece on, first time since last winter. So I brought some stuff up for the compost. This big border here, it's my squash border. I need to get it cleared because I'm starting to think about putting in the garlic fairly soon. So I need somewhere to put it, and this is the obvious choice. So let's crack on. So the first thing I need to do is harvest the squash that are in here. A bit disappointed with how many squash I've had this year. And this board, I've only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squash. It's quite a big border, you know. So I'm pretty disappointed. However, this particular squash that's grown here, it's this one. Oh, it's going orange there. It's an Anna Schwartz squash. I picked the first one last week. We tried it. It's really a nice variety. Very dense flesh, quite starchy, quite potatoey really. I've used it on a shepherd's pie or a cottage pie in the replacement, as a replacement for mashed potato. It was delicious. So yeah, I really like that variety. Unfortunately, Kenny doesn't like squash, but he's just forced to eat it. If I grow it, he's got to eat it. He hasn't got a choice. And one of these, because they're so kind of dense in a way, it goes a long way. So although I didn't get very many, I do like the variety and I would try them again. And that is it as far as squash are concerned. The rest of this is just like a giant flower bed. And I mean, I have to say, got to make us think, I'm allowing far too many flowers to grow. In view of the fact that I only got 5 squash, maybe I would have gotten more if I'd kept the flowers down somewhat, although it wasn't always as flowery as this. Yeah, I'm reluctant to pull it all out, but I think it's all got to go. There's potatoes in here and all kinds of things. I think I've let this get a bit too much out of control, really, in hindsight. Saving this cabbage for ages to pick it, take it home today. Well, that's enough of that digging and all that carry on. I need to find some compost from somewhere, because neither of these two compost bins are ready. I'll have to have a look in the hen run and see if I can get some from there, and finish off sorting out that border, and then maybe next week I'll get my garlic in. Anyway, catch you next time. Bye.